Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this Blitz chess postmortem, a postmortem of my Blitz postmortem, a postmortem of my Blitz game number 401. I kicked off with d4, and my opponent played d5. We get a classical setup, the Queen's Gambit, and my opponent decides to take the Queen's Gambit accepted. A very reasonable line that only causes trouble sometimes for black if he tries too hard to hold on to the pawn. The prescripted way to deal with this is you bring the knight out first to cut down on any nonsense from the move e5, which can sometimes give black some counterplay. And then after his next move, which is e6 or knight f6 typically, then you move the e-pawn forward one or two squares and round up the c-pawn here. And if he plays a different move like b5, for example, to try and hold on to it, it creates weaknesses that you can undermine. So the typical response and the best response is probably just to give the pawn back. And so my opponent does that. He does this in an unusual way. The main line here is just knight f6, keeping on developing. He decides to develop a queenside fianchetto, and we are outside the opening book pretty much. But this is not a bad way to play. You see, he has squares for his pieces, and in a lot of these Queen's Gambit positions, there's a problem of how to deal with the light squared bishop, so he has a ready-made solution. I would say the only downside to this is it's a little bit slow, so he falls a bit behind in development. So, but the game continues. We go on a few moves. Castles, normal developing moves. Knight c3, bishop e7. And now, right here, I play the move bishop b3. And it's interesting, the chess engine doesn't like this move at all. I guess the point is my only real advantage in this position is my lead in development, and I should find some way to exploit it. And I think the idea is to put something on the e-file, like queen e2 or rook e1. Say, I would probably go with rook e1 myself, but it looks like either one of those as well. And anyway, the idea is to support the push of the e-pawn. Yeah, I would be thinking more about putting my queen on c2 rather than e2, but anyway, yeah, I can get a big I can get a big pawn center, a big presence in the center, and threaten to push on later with e5 or d5, kind of busting things up and taking over the game. And that's probably the best way to play it. So the move I play here, bishop b3, it's not like it's a bad move, but in a way I've given a tempo back to black. It's not a developing move. It's just getting the bishop off of a square where it might come under attack later. So an unnecessary precautionary move. And so now the game is about even. And let's continue for here. Yeah, I guess that was my idea, was I was doing this maneuver with the bishop so that I can get my queen here and threaten checkmate and then push the pawn. But it's a bit of a slow plan and an easy plan for black to deal with. So he goes with h6 here. He could already charge ahead with c5 and start undermining my center, and I think that's the best way to play here. He goes h6. So giving an advantage back to me, and now I do take advantage of that and push the move e4, which I can play here because of the bishop. Now I've routed the bishop down to a square that supports the e-pawn push, so I'm in good shape at this point. He continues with bishop a6, kicking my rook, but the rook wants to go to the e-file anyway, so not a particularly good move. Then he develops with knight to c6. And I bring my pieces out, bishop e3. He goes knight to b4. And hitting my bishop, I decide I don't want to allow him to trade off this light squared bishop. I still have ideas of attacking along this diagonal. It'll just take me a little while longer. And I thought this wasn't particularly good because the knight is just going to have to go back. He does play c5 at this point. And you see that was the top engine choice. It's just logical in these structures to push forward with either the c-pawn or the e-pawn and try and bust up white's center. So I kick the knight with a3, and now he goes in for some tactical complications that just don't work out. So the only move here to stay on the game is just knight back to c6. But he tries this tricky move, c takes d4. I mean, it looks good on the surface. He's attacking two pieces here, and I'm attacking one piece. So, you know, if I just let's see, take his knight, for example, he can take my piece. Actually, this is still good for me, isn't it? A takes b4, and d takes e3. I mean, it wins a pawn at least. I can take Yeah. That's the problem. He was missing this tactic against the bishop here. A takes b4 unveils an attack on his bishop, which is loose on a6. So that's really the problem with these ideas here. I played the move knight takes d4. I mean, that's the other problem, is that this isn't this is not really a threat here. I could just take that pawn, and he continues on with bishop to c5. Trying to put some more pressure on my position, but now I do take the knight, and this is a double attack on his two bishops. So he takes the pawn, and I grab his bishop. He just didn't see that coming. It's a little bit of a surprise. In fact, I missed it. You saw just in this commentary I was doing, I missed the idea a few moments back. But yeah, it's not a typical idea. But you've opened up the A file and you put the bishop on A6, so it's just a target there. Anyway, he resigned at this point, so a short game, but had its points. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I will see you again soon. Bye.